Hello, everyone. Myself and Paul Kelly here. We are here for a special, I suppose, final prediction show, as it's known. Josh Taylor, super fight, really, in some ways. Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez, which is taking place at Madison Square Garden on Saturday night for the WBO World Super Lightweight title. Obviously, without needing to go into too much of the records, obviously, everyone knows kind of who both these fighters are. Josh Taylor, 19-0. Obviously the champion here, and he's obviously fighting against Lopez, who has moved up the division, 18-1 record. So Paul Kelly, there's a couple of threads to touch on here, really, I suppose. One, obviously, New York currently is enveloped in smog from a fire as well. They were talking about concerts being cancelled, other things being cancelled. Will this fight even take place? Is one of the issues I suppose we've got to deal with. Secondly, there's been a lot of needle. We've seen, obviously, Josh Taylor walk out of an interview with Gareth Davis and with Lopez this week. And thirdly, you have seen more of this than I have, but we're talking about briefly off air, weren't we, today, about the press conference and some of the needle that's going on there as well, and how this is all going to play out. So first and foremost, I hope you are well. And before we dive into it, hopefully you can give our viewers a sense of whether you're well. But also, when we do get into it, give me your sentiments going into this fight. Do you think, from what you've seen so far, that it favours more Josh Kelly, Lopez, and if so, why?
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. It's a fight I'm really looking forward to, and it's funny. I was discussing. Obviously, we did the weekly preview, and we mentioned this fight. I also did the betting show with Danny, and he made a really good point. He said if this fight was a year ago, even or not even a year, 15 months ago. So, if this fight was after Lopez had beat Lomachenko and was before Taylor fought Catterall, you're talking a super, super, super fight here. Do you know what I mean? Like after the Lomachenko win for Lopez, he was really, he was the man, wasn't he? And then obviously he wasn't when he got beat by Kambosos. Taylor, obviously that run, even including the Catterall win, but particularly before that run, Baranchik, Postol, Regis Prograis, everyone like that. Even ones back, at British level when he was fighting O'Hara Davis, who looks like he's going to be challenging for a world title. You know, fights that he won and won well, and didn't I see something like his last five or six opponents added up their records added up to 182, something ridiculous like that. So Josh Taylor's resume, he's arguably got the best resume in British boxing. But in terms of this fight, oh, I love this fight, and we quickly discussed off air there, didn't we, Elliot, that kind of like what I'm seeing from Josh Taylor. I think he's a bit of a Marmite character in ways. Either like him or
Mm-hmm.
you really don't. And I find him quite amusing, to be quite honest. Especially in fight week when, fighters are grumpy and making weight, especially with the size of Josh Taylor. It's a big super lightweight. Um he looked in freakish shape as well, seen on his Instagram. Hopefully he doesn't have to crash too much weight late, and he makes it well. But no, it's still a great fight. Still a lot of name value in the fight, and yeah, one I'm really, really looking forward to. I don't know about you.
No, actually, yeah. Fair play to Danny. He's landed on a fair point there. So yeah, hats off to him. I think I agree with him. Actually, obviously, it would be a super fight. To me, it's one of those ones that goes under the radar, but it's still kind of a super fight given the names and the CVs like we were kind of talking about. And I think, like you said, with regards to the needle, I think Josh Taylor needs this. I think, to be honest with you, he's actually done well to find someone who seems even less likable as an opponent than he is himself. To the point where you sit there and go, like, don't get me wrong, I think Josh Taylor actually in the main has done deserves a lot more respect than someone he gets. But obviously from that Catterall fight, it's kind of tarnished everything, I suppose, hasn't it, that he's been doing recently. So this fight, if he does come through it and come through it well, will elevate him, I think, again to a certain degree, even though people will still be calling for that rematch. But I think that when I say dislikable, what I mean by that is the kind of way that he's carried himself and conducted himself post Catterall, and just not, when he really should just be holding his hands up there. But obviously, I can understand why he doesn't. But I'd say, taking your point, actually, he does look in good shape, and he was talking around that Catterall loss of obviously him kind of overlooking Jack Catterall, and also like the weight being a bit of an issue, maybe like lost too much weight too quickly. It looks like he's kind of got more, got that in hand more this time around. Do you expect that to have a significant effect going into this fight? Then do you reckon that favours him? That in many ways, what happened to him at Catterall actually gives him more of an advantage in this fight, or do you still see it as being something kind of abstract and in the past?
It is definitely interesting, and you have to read into the weight as well, especially with someone like Josh Taylor, who's a massive super lightweight. I think that, he's teamed up with Joe McNally and the team at Rotunda, and they're all professionals. They're diligent. I expect Josh Taylor to make the weight. It's not going to be easy. He'll probably be a bit, biting away and a bit taking things a bit badly during fight week. We'll see at the weigh-ins, obviously, tomorrow, at the time of recording this. But yeah, I think he will make the weight. I expect him to make the weight. well, but just because of how professional Joe McNally and that team seem to be. And yeah, it's an interesting point. I think he did overlook Catterall, whether he admits it or not. I think he definitely did. And a lot of us, me, you, probably a lot of boxing fans probably expected Taylor to win that pretty comfortably. But I don't think he's going to make the same mistake twice. I think Lopez is in trouble this weekend, to be honest with you. Just from the way Josh Taylor's speaking and the way he's been in fight week, I think he wants to make a bit of a statement. I think he wants to go in there and hurt this guy and kind of embarrass him if he can. Um, Teofimo Lopez, brilliant fighter. Look, has the chance to become a two-weight world champion. But again, I waxed lyrical about this in our weekly preview. I said it again in our betting show. I Teofimo Lopez is not going to become world champion again if he still has his dad in his corner. Like you look at the difference between the two corners, and it couldn't be, any more chalk and cheese. I think that Joe McNally's brilliant coach has kind of quickly accelerated to being one of the best in Britain recently. And you look at Teofimo Lopez Senior, or Lopez Senior, and he's just not a good coach. Just the way in the corner, he's not the man you want in your corner, in my opinion. If the going gets tough, which I think it will for Teofimo Lopez, so yeah, sure we'll come on the predictions next. But yeah, I'm favoring Josh Taylor to win here. I put on a bit of a statement.
What were you when you said that you think that Taylor could hurt Lopez? There was a glint in your eye there, actually worried me, Paul. I was concerned that you were going to a different place mentally, but I think no, I do I agree with you actually. I do agree with you, but I just want to pick up a point actually you were making a bit talking about obviously I suppose the attitudes going into this fight between Lopez, and I suppose in some ways you could say okay, Josh Taylor's kind of got that kind of I suppose that kind of like stern, sort of dour, sort of Scottish attitude, which is like no nonsense essentially in a way I don't really care. And Lopez is just sort of mouthing off, but I'm reluctant to do this, but I am going to do it. Watching that True Geordie video where you talk about Conor McGregor and how in certain fights when Conor McGregor tends to sort of go in a certain place and to talk a load of nonsense to a certain degree with a kind of attitude. It's almost that sense of he kind of expects to lose. And we've seen a lot of that from Lopez, I think, coming into this fight. He seems to be talking a lot of nonsense, frankly. I don't necessarily know if there's any real point of it that this fight kind of sells itself or it doesn't sell itself. I don't need to hear what he's got to say. Do you think there's anything in that, though? Do you think that you've obviously alluded to the corner? Do you think this kind of ridiculous points that Lopez sort of comes out with, his general attitude, is in some ways a kind of extension of Lopez Senior and the sort of attitude they have sort of together? Or do you think it may be even masking a sense of someone who actually feels that whilst this is a super fight, he's actually out of his depth?
I think Teofimo Lopez, deep down, obviously all fighters believe they can win, and they'll, even if they think that they're up against it, they'll convince themselves they're a different breed. Boxers really aren't they? They'll convince themselves that nothing is going to stop them and they're going to win this fight. So I don't think, I don't think he's obviously he knows he's up against it. Taylor's a really credible champion, but I think Lopez will believe he can win. And he well do. We might look ridiculous here, Elliot, but what I saw at that press conference, everything on Thursday, it's just like, what is he talking about? Josh Taylor was just speechless. Like, mate, what are you on about? What are you actually talking about? And I think I just see a broken man. To be honest with you, it's pretty sad. Teofimo Lopez. I think if with changes, he's only 25 years old. With changes, I expect him to lose this fight. After this, if he gets rid of his dad and gets a proper coach and gets his head back in the game, there's no reason why he can't become a two-weight world champion. Go up to welterweight, maybe become a three-weight world champion in the future. He's still only 25. Still got the best part of 10 years ahead of him. So yeah, but I just think that there is something about Josh Taylor that, he's got that eye of the tiger here. He's not taking Teofimo Lopez lightly, and I fully expect him to get the job done here inside the distance.
Well, we are at that time, for we can talk about, I suppose, after the fight about where does each man go, the winner or the loser. Does Taylor move up? Is Lopez a world champion? And whatever we can talk about a post fight. But we are here for final predictions. And Paul, I think we are going to probably agree on how we see this fight going. But I'm going to come to you anyway, first and foremost, to say, Paul, please, final prediction. How do you see this fight playing out?
Final prediction is that Josh Taylor will stop Teofimo Lopez in the second half of the fight. Me and Danny agreed on that in the betting show, and it was like 4-1. If you want to be me more specific, I'll go round 8 or 9. So there's a 2 round window I'll go for. Yeah, I'm expecting a Josh Taylor a strong performance here and a stoppage in the second half of the fight. Probably, rounds, yeah, 8, 9, 10 maybe. What
Paul,
about
you've got
you?
to be going there as well, mate, because I'm in full agreement with you here. I think Josh Taylor stoppage. I could see it being anywhere from 7-9, 7-10, somewhere around there. To be perfectly honest with you, I think it'll be too much. I think it'll have too much, frankly, for Lopez when he starts putting the shots together and stuff. So I am also of agreement with you. Taylor KO, and that's not. People get accused probably of being, kind of looking at this through a kind of, I suppose, like a sort of British or whatever centrism, whatever way we do. But I think, to be perfectly honest, that is the objective view that we've tried both given. And I think it'd have too much for him. So, Paul Kelly, I suppose all I have to say really now is, guys who are watching this video, let us know whether you agree with us or disagree with us. We'll obviously have other content obviously coming up for this fight. Like Paul said, we've got the review show, we've got written previews, we've got interviews and features involving the undercard fighters as well. But Paul, it is the final prediction show. We have given final predictions, so I'm going to have to unfortunately say temporarily to you a final goodbye. But Paul Kelly, is there anything you'd like to say to our viewers, or would you just like to bid them farewell and enjoy the fight?
Thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, let's hope the fight lives up to expectation and we get a bit of a barnstormer here for however long it lasts.
Thank you very much, guys, for watching.
Cheers.